Terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30.
For your Gulf Coast Sports Minute, I'm JP. While all 35 first-half Blue Wahoos home game in Pensacola have been postponed, that doesn't stop the team from providing affordable family fun events in the ballpark. The combination of stadium dining, trivia, and bingo competition, disc golf, movie, and fireworks nights, the creation of an Airbnb experience, along with other special events, have filled the void left by baseball this season. Google Pensacola Blue Wahoos for all the events and dates. In our recruiting spotlight this week, Jaden Jackson of the Northview Chiefs. The dynamic running back already has his fair share of D1 offers, which include Boston College, Wake Forest, and USF, to name a few, along with the fact that he made a major impact in all three phases during the Chiefs' playoff season last year, including averaging over 14 yards a carry and over 1,600 all-purpose yards. And if you think he's just a small-town back, think again. This young man is a battering ram and can compete with the best in the country. He's listed as a 3-star recruit by 247 Sports, but his character is tough to truly measure. This is a young man, if you're in the north end of the county, you're not going to want to miss on Friday night. That's your Gulf Coast Sports Minute. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update!
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330. FM 99.1.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to, big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Walking outside your house just to get cool shouldn't be your choice to avoid the cost of AC repairs. Getting your AC repaired right the first time at a price that is so much lower than the others is the reason why you should call the locally owned top-tier air conditioning and heating. There is no service call fee with any AC repair, plus no extra charge for weekends or after-hours calls. So don't sweat it. Call Top Tier. It's your home's most expensive appliance. Call the certified experts at Top Tier Air Conditioning and Heating, 208-2544.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson. On this Friday afternoon, weekend's right around the corner. Got some beautiful weather. Ahead for the weekend. Going to be really nice. Going to be a little warm. Getting our typical summer as always here in the South, of course. Look, as we always say when we start off here, before we get into thanking our first responders and healthcare workers, I want to say, look, for everybody out there, I know we're getting cases that are spiking a little bit. But don't panic. Continue to do your part. Social distance. Wear a mask if you're out and about. I'm not going to get into too much telling you what to do. You know what to do by this point, being months into this. Just want everybody to stay safe. Of course, continue to wash your hands and continue to social distance. Like I said, we'll get through this. We're going to be just fine. No need to panic. Panic never brings good decisions along with it. But as I said before, look, we want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. It goes without saying, even with COVID-19, regardless of whatever is going on and about, I think it's important that we look at these people and we thank them so much for their service. We are a military town. We love our military here in Pensacola. That goes without saying, especially with the Blue Angels flying next week, I believe. But look, what they do day in and day out is just, we are so grateful for it. What they're putting their self on the line. A lot of things that we don't even realize go on in our city, they take care of and make us better. We thank them so much. With everything going on right now, hearing the great stories, as I have friends and family on both sides, I'm sure you do as well, but the great stories and the support they get from the community is awesome. I think that's why I love to call Pensacola my home. It's because no matter what happens, we always surround each other with love and compassion, and that's what we got here. We also want to thank as well with our grocery store employees, truck drivers, all the essential workers out there. Like I said, I know times are getting tough where it looks like we're going back up a little bit, but we have to realize, look, we're testing at a higher rate as well. Things are opening up. It's going to happen. Nobody panic. But those people in the grocery stores, truck drivers, all the essential employees, thank you so much. You are the silent heroes right there. People don't realize and don't think about it. Whether you're the person that's sitting there wiping the cart when you walk into the grocery store, the truck driver delivering everything we need, not really toilet paper yet. Again, we'll see what happens there. But we thank you so much for that. And look, we have a ton to get to today. We have a great show ahead. But, Coach, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well, JP. Good to be with you.
Absolutely, Coach. And, look, like I said, we have a ton to get to today. I want to start off with this because, look, Coach, there's been a lot of people. We talked a little bit about this the other day. Look, NFL athletes are working out. I think for people, they need to realize a couple things here. These NFL athletes, yes, they've been advised by the NFL Player Association to prohibit working out. They haven't said you just can't work out, obviously. But I think it's important that these guys are NFL. They play at the highest level with training camp and everything coming up. They are going to work out because they're being paid millions of dollars to go out and perform, and they want to perform, and they want to win. Tom Brady, of course, everybody seems to put him on a pedestal, and you know what? Rightfully so. He is Michael Jordan in the NFL. So I will put him. I know he is on that list. He is one of the greatest of all time, especially when you look at the accolades and what he's been able to do. People look at him as a role model, and I still do. Regardless, just because of the way he plays the position and the way he handles himself off the field as well. I want to make this very clear, though. There are plenty of other, players and quarterbacks, and Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, Russell Wilson. All these guys are out there practicing with their small groups, obviously. A lot of people don't like it, but everybody brings Tom Brady to the top here, Coach. And when you look at it, there's a million different articles you can read about it. Just the one I read here, Ian O'Connor from ESPN, basically bashing him. And listen, doing a little research on Ian O'Connor, Coach, he is a guy that covers the Patriots ad nauseum, so I think there's a little bit of something else here. But, Coach, when you look at this, I think it's so important. Look, once again, these guys, I understand regardless of the spiking, people just coming after these athletes, it's almost like they have nothing better to do. People saying that Tom Brady, how dare him? His workouts need to stop now. He's setting a bad example for everybody. Coach, there's so much more to this than just, you're being a bad example. What do you make of this story?
Well, absolutely. There's much more to it, and I hope people realize that this is just another example of a certain political persuasion taking a shot at what they deem to be traditional and more a part of an institution. Tom Brady does not represent them. So when all the other quarterbacks are out there with their groups working out, nothing is said about that. But when Tom Brady works out, they make a big to-do about it. It's been on TV, in papers, and everything else. I'm telling you, it is absolutely amazing to me how this happens, in particular in the world of sports. I wish it would not happen anywhere, but it is. It's just a part of life now. And in the world of sports, just keep your eye open. It's amazing. It's like Tom Brady. We don't like Tom Brady. We don't like the flag. We don't like American apple pie. So there you go. Take it and love it.
Yeah, Coach, I agree. Look, I think it's funny that look, and I said there's a million different articles you can read about this, but Ian O'Connor, once again, coming out and basically saying, look, I know all these other guys are working out, but Tom Brady should know better. Last time I checked, they're all grown men. They make their own decisions. Well, why, putting Tom Brady at a higher pedestal just because he is one of the greatest of all time, that makes no difference to anybody else. So we all make our decisions. But anyway, you've said a mouthful there, Coach, and I agree. I think it's there's more to this story. People need to understand that. I'm sure a lot of people, especially around here, do understand that. And, Coach, look, one thing that, look, I will ask you this. A couple things with college here. The NCAA extended the recruiting dead period yet again, this time through August 31st. Not a big surprise here. But the question that's coming up, Coach, is something that, well, you've mentioned before. We've talked about it for quite some time. Is the NCAA going to cancel the early signing period? Because it seems now this question is coming up as people said, well, the next thing to do, they can keep extending the dead period all they want to, but at some point they're going to have to make the decision for the early signing period to go out the window. Coach, do you feel that now that they've extended it basically to September 1st, that's the next step is to go ahead and cancel early signing period?
Oh, I think that can happen. Certainly. In fact, I think it's likely that they'll do that. There's some coaches that don't like that anyway, that early signing period. And it gives, in my opinion, it gives some staffs an advantage. And I won't say for all the reasons here, but I think one of them would be they're not quite as efficient and organized as some of the others. So, no, this could happen. This could very easily happen, and I predict probably that it will happen.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, look, with everything going on, teams now, for some of these guys, they want to enroll early. We'll see what happens. I think there's going to be different things for each team here. Who knows? I think with the virus, we deal with this day by day, and the moment we look too far ahead is the moment we get bit here. But, Coach, sticking with college football, a question came up, a pretty good article here. Dennis Dodd, of course, interesting enough. He said college football teams wrestle with the ethics of reporting positive coronavirus tests during game weeks. And that actually is something that I haven't really thought of, Coach. When we get into the game season here, obviously we believe that, hopefully not, but we're realistic in what's going to happen. The possibility of players testing positive, some players here and there. Will teams release that? Will they put that out in the public? Now, they technically don't have to. The NFL has to report injuries. The college football does not. So we've seen that with Alabama. That's when, the game that Tua got hurt, we weren't sure if Tua was going to play or not, and they said it was a game-time decision. So, even though these teams know what's truly going on, we really don't in college football. So, Coach, what I'm going to ask you is, do you see that changing? Because they don't really release injuries unless they're obvious to people. A guy is going to be out for the year or some things like that. Do you see coaches releasing their, COVID-19 absences as they go along week to week to the public?
Oh, absolutely they will have to. It's a totally different subject. If you're talking about the degree of severity of an injury, that could run the gamut from 0 to 10. But there is no question about whether somebody tests positive or not. And the medical community, their medical staff will make that determination, obviously, and that information would go immediately to the president of the university and whomever, board of trustees or whatever. There's no way you get around that. I mean, if somebody tests positive, they're not going to be playing. They're going to be quarantined for the time recommended by the medical community, and then they'll be back, which could cost them a couple of ball games, maybe 3. I don't know. So that's going to happen. And I don't think we're going to see as much of it as some people think, but I do think we'll probably see some of it. The big question is going to be, you're sitting there, whether it be college or whether it be in the NFL, and your quarterback is tested positive. You know what can happen there. We've seen that in many places where the quarterback doesn't play and they put somebody else in, and it's disastrous. So anyway, but to answer your question directly, there's no doubt that person would be quarantined.
Yeah, I think Dennis Dodd brings up, teams like players have had the flu before and they don't really report it. They just don't play and they don't show up. And so teams, if you're Alabama preparing for Auburn and you wonder, well, we're preparing for Bo Nix, then Bo Nix has the flu, then Auburn didn't have to release that he had the flu. And so I agree with you, though. I think this is night and day different when you're talking about COVID-19. Now, this is going to be something that will be mandated, that needs to be released. And I understand from the perspective of, we don't want them to prepare for them. That way we can, we can kind of catch them off guard. But at the same time, this is humanity, all right? We need to understand everybody needs to know this guy tests positive out there in the public regardless. So it will be interesting to see what happens.
One other piece to this, too. Could you imagine a football program that tried to hide it?
Oh, boy.
It's going to come out sooner or later, okay? Sooner or later. Do you think doctors are going to lie about it or try to cover it up? No way. It's against everything they stand for, and it's not going to happen, believe me. Somebody's going to catch up. But let's just say, hypothetically, that they did cover up someone's illness and played with them in a ball game. And whether others got sick or not, and it's a good possibility that they would certainly infect other people. But what do you think that's going to do to recruiting when they can say, look, this kid was sick with the virus and they covered it up and they played him anyway and got other people sick and he got worse, and how are you going to sign on with a team like that? They would be killed recruiting from a recruiting standpoint. So not that that's the most important thing, but it is a factor. So I think it's close to being an impossibility as you can get that they would try to hide that.
Yeah, nightmare situation is what that would be. That would be you would talk about somebody that possibly stopped college football. Yeah, that's unbelievable. I agree with you, Coach. I think it's going to be mandated. Obviously, they're going to come out and they're going to let people know. One thing that look, with this, for people that are panicking because we're getting positive tests, the one positive I will say is these players now have the antibodies, and the majority, obviously, of these guys are asymptomatic. I'm not downplaying how serious this is. I want to make that clear, but I am bringing the positive side to what's going on as well. So moving on, we'll see what happens. But once again, it goes back to this, and Greg Sankey saying people don't talk enough about the positives and what we're doing to help these guys. It's also on the players as well to do their part. Like I said, we had 30 players from LSU that tested positive. They linked them back to a bar off campus. That's all I need to say on that. So the universities can only do so much, and it is unbelievably more safe being on campus than it is obviously being back home when they would be out and about. You're trying to contain these kids, and I understand. Trying to contain 17 to 22-year-old kids is a nightmare. Ask any parent. Coach, you have kids as well, so you've been there. But look, it's a part of it, and if they're serious about playing football, then we all need to step up and do our part. But On that note, Coach, I want to step over to, look, we talked a little bit about it, not really about this situation because it's laughable almost, but Jamal Adams over there, the safety for the Jets, Jets fans kind of scoff. They're like, geez, again, here we go. We're always in the news for the wrong reasons. But look, DC Greg Williams talking about Jamal Adams saying he's got his back. Now he said, look, you never mess with the guy's contract, but I've got his back on these types of things. We need to get this deal done. We need to get it figured out and get him what he deserves. Coach, Mike, the question that was presented to me on this situation was, what in the world do you do? I mean, when you have your defensive coordinator here on the inside, obviously, saying, we got to get this figured out, we got to give him what he deserves, I've got his back, on a player that stepped out and said, look, I want to be traded, and he put 7 teams out there they want to be traded with, so it's already a bad enough situation. What do you do? I mean, if you're the head coach or GM or whatever, I mean, this has got to be a nightmare situation on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, and it goes deeper than that, JP. Let me tell you what I suspect here. Greg Williams has stepped out of bounds in many different situations, different teams he's been with. This was a slap at the head coach. This was an attempt, I think, by Greg Williams to maybe even try to position himself as the head coach. He's trying to ingratiate himself with a player who he knows does not get along very well with the head coach. I think that's pretty common knowledge. At least I hear that quite frequently, even on television. So that being the case, if he goes to bat with him, Jamal Adams, and that can influence some other players on the football team, say, hey, we need Doug Williams. Williams to be our head coach, then that might put him in a pretty good position. He would think. I'm a little skeptical about that. He shouldn't be opening his mouth anyway. That's for the head coach to determine any football-related acquaintance with Jamal Adams, and the general manager who's going to be negotiating a contract with him to discuss any thing contractually, any arrangement, say, contractually or don't have with him. So he was out of line, number one. Number two, I think his intent there was not honorable.
Yeah, I'll put it in the way, and you're right, Coach. I think when you look at it from that point of view, it makes sense because a lot of criticism, obviously, with Adam Gase and what's going on right there with Jets fans. Everybody knows Jets fans are uneasy. They want to win. They're tired of being toward the bottom tier of that division and the NFL, period. But, look, it's like a remora. If you go deep-sea fishing, you know a remora sticks on to the shark there, and basically the shark does all the work, and the remora gets the remains, and it makes the situation worse and more disgusting, really. But I think that's what this is he finds, okay, he's like, here's my moment to jump on and leech onto something. There, boom, now I've got it. Okay, and now it's speaking out. Like I said, Coach, unbelievable that he came out and said that. I just feel like it's just something that just stays not necessarily in the locker room as much as just in the front office. I mean, guys talking to other guys. I don't have a problem with Greg Williams telling Adam Gase, privately, obviously, hey, look, we got to get this deal done, all right? This guy, we got to get him what he deserves. I don't have a problem with that. But coming out publicly and making that known, that is, yikes. That's a defensive coordinator saying that. Coach, one more thing before we go to break here real quick. Look, Haskins, back in the news again. We'll see the Washington Redskins, of course, Ron Rivera, they believe in Haskins. They brought in Kyle Allen as well, just in case. But drafting Haskins in the first round, obviously, president of player development Doug Williams had some interesting comments. He said, look, I don't care who came out this year or last year. There's not a quarterback that's come out in the last 2 years that has the ability from an arm strength standpoint and arm talent that Dwayne Haskins has. Coach, I laugh. I mean, I like Dwayne Haskins. I don't necessarily think he's great yet, but I think he hasn't gotten a fair shake. He had a pretty good ending to the season last year. But, Coach, is it ironic that the president of player development, Doug Williams, made these comments about Haskins?
Yeah, I don't know enough about him from the standpoint of having seen him. I did see him at the combine workouts. But how his arm compares to other quarterbacks, I have to preface by saying I can't make that comparison. But I can tell you this. what we heard from Doug Williams sounds awfully parochial to me. And I don't know that Doug Williams, I don't know how to evaluate him as being head of personnel either. I wouldn't think that he had all the background necessary to be totally competent in that area, but we shall see.
Yeah, I agree. Look, it's they've been backing Dwayne Haskins from the beginning. I think they don't know if they made a mistake. I'm not sure, Coach. When I look at a quarterback, I try to be fair because it's easy to criticize a guy. But the guy, when you look at that situation in Washington, it's horrendous. I mean, from top to bottom, it was horrendous, including the coaching staff, from owners and everything. I think that organization, I think Ron Rivera will help them, but he's got his work cut out for him. That's to say the very least. Listen, Coach, we got to go to a break. When we come back, a question was brought by one of our listeners about Leonard Fournette and the Jacksonville Jags. We'll talk about that and some unanswered questions that we need to get answered here about some NFL teams in this upcoming season. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Hurricane season is upon us, and although we aim to bring you the latest news in sports, we're committed to bringing the Pensacola community the latest updates and information during the 2020 hurricane season. In collaboration with our sister stations, News Radio 92.3, AM 1620, and Cat Country 98.7, stay up to date with breaking weather news and updates on the biggest storms impacting Northwest Florida by checking our Facebook pages at Cat Country 98.7, News Radio 92.3, and ESPN Pensacola.
Over the last few months, we've realized that those excuses of not doing yard work, you've had to pay up. No excuses to get fat eating a bunch of rancid chicken wings and 3 pitchers because it's football Sunday. Tired of trying to pronounce names overseas at 4 a.m. that we don't know in Korea in baseball. But sports is coming back, and we're optimistic to carry all the biggest games on the Sports Drive, 5 to 7 each and every night on ESPN Pensacola. Thank God all of this didn't happen during college football season.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Dan gets so mad that there isn't one dissenting voice.
It's not even that much of a risk, Mike. It's a 6.5.
Stugotz does that all the time. He doesn't get any credit for it.
No, but no one with credibility dares risk it because they all just want to put stars up next to their name and pick the most obvious possible thing.
Thanks, Dan.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, 9 till noon, weekdays on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Weekend's right around the corner. Going to be a beautiful weekend ahead as well. Look, we've got tons to talk about, and this coach, a friend of mine here submitted this question, and it's interesting enough because we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're a team that, well, we don't talk about a lot, and there's a reason for that. They have had some turmoil the past few years. Obviously, in 2017, making its deepest postseason run since the 99 season. It's been a lot different looking team ever since that point. The question was brought up, Coach, when you look at the Jags, declining Leonard Fournette's fifth-year option on his rookie contract, the question was that a good idea? When you look at Leonard Fournette, Coach, look, we know that they've, of course, gotten rid of a lot of players that were unhappy about being there. Look, you know, they brought in Nick Foles, didn't really work out. So this is a team that's in some turmoil right now, trying to rebuild. I don't know about enough when talks about Marrone, if he's the true guy there for him or not. Coach, when you look at the stats here, though, 2,000-yard seasons by Leonard Fournette. He has battled some injuries. I think if he could stay healthy, it'd be a lot different. But, Coach, when you look at Leonard Fournette, he's also been one of the players to come out and voice his displeasure with being in Jacksonville. When you look at this from a team perspective, now they've gotten rid of Jalen Ramsey and all these other guys. Looks like Ngakwe's on his way out as well. Coach, declining his fifth-year option, was that a good move for Jacksonville, and do you think that they'll end up signing him?
You know, it looks to me like Jacksonville, this might be their perspective on football in general right now as it applies to their franchise. We're cleaning house, and if we're going to clean house, we might as well do it totally. And now would be the time to do it, not if we're in contention and we have to get rid of a back who's doing pretty well. Now, he has been injury-prone, but the most important, the biggest detriment that he's been has been his mouth and his actions in the clubhouse, as I understand it. Now, I have talked to a couple of people who are familiar with the Jacksonville clubhouse, and they say it has not really been a nice situation, or one that is a winning situation in the Jacksonville clubhouse. I think they're trying to get that cleaned up as well. It doesn't sound like he's going to be a part of the solution. And I mean, you'd like to have him. He's a good back, but there are two things that are a tremendous detriment with him. And one, he's injured all the time. He doesn't play as much as you'd like. And then the other would be his distraction in the clubhouse, if you will, and whatever point he's trying to make. I don't know, but that's what I see right now. So I would not be surprised. Number one, I'm not surprised that they did not pick up the option, and I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see if they get any good deal at all, and they may want to wait until just before the season. If they get any kind of deal at all, they're going to trade him. I think that's what will happen.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. The injuries go back to when he was at LSU as well. I mean, he always had those injuries, the knee issues and everything from ankles, whatever. typical running back stuff, but stuff that's held him out quite some time. And that's where, look, I like Leonard Fournette as a player. I don't like the players that cause problems in the locker room. And I haven't been in the NFL locker room. You've coached, you've played in the locker rooms, you understand how important it is. And like I said before, talking with Fred Robbins, he said the most important thing is when guys show up, we're all on the same page. All of our things that are going on in our life, we put that past us, and that doesn't affect. We're all here for the same goal. And right now in Jacksonville, anybody that's, not on the same page, it seems they're trying to get rid of them. And look, I commend them for that. I think it takes a lot of guts to do that. And we'll see what happens, though. For Fournette, if you're a Jag fan, I guess you just got to hang on like you have been for the past few years and see what happens. Coach, I do want to get into a couple, some unanswered questions here for each NFL team what they face. Of course, we'll go through these in the coming days and going into next week, obviously. But I did want to start off with some of our local teams here. Now, the New Orleans Saints, the question that I had come up with here, just thinking now, this is just me thinking out loud, But when we look at the New Orleans Saints, now we know Tom Brady, and they have set up shop there in Tampa. Gronk's back. They looking like they could win that division and possibly go to the Super Bowl and maybe even win the Super Bowl. Talk about quite the transition there. But, Coach, the New Orleans Saints, now we know that Drew Brees' time is running out. He's getting a little bit older. He signed the 2-year contract. A lot of people believe this could possibly be his last year. I think we'll wait to hear from Drew Brees on that. But, Coach, my question to you, looking at the Saints, looking at the way they're built, do they have one more Super Bowl run in them before Drew Brees is gone?
I think it's certainly possible. They're going to be in contention, and the quarterback means so much to a football team, and Drew Brees in particular means so much to New Orleans. You know what? I'm a little concerned with JP is I don't think you can continue to be as productive as they've been with one legitimate number one receiver. The kid is outstanding. He's an outstanding receiver. He runs routes. He's on exactly the way you want him run. You can double him, and he can still have a chance to get open, and he's done that. And he makes the catch with his hands out away from his body. All the things you look for with a great receiver. He's tall, can get up over the top. But you can't continue to have just one receiver that you have to go to. Now, they do have a good back that they can depend on, and they seem to think that they're going to be better at the tight end position. That could happen. But you need another receiver who can get out there and pose a threat and take the top off, and someone who most teams are a little afraid not to double every now and then. And if they double him, you're going to leave some other people in a good matchup situation. So I just don't think that they've made that commitment, even though they made the trade. But I don't. He may be over the hill. I'm going to have to see him produce at a level that would be commensurate with what they feel like they need at the receiver position, and I don't believe he's there. That would be their biggest need to me.
Yeah, hearing some people that we watch on these morning shows talk about Emmanuel Sanders, and he's the guy, he's the catalyst, saying, well, look at what he did, when he was in Denver, and look at what he did with the 49ers. I don't think it was really much about him. I look at Deebo Samuel and those guys and what they did. The guys that took him over the top. I agree with you. I think it's a good piece to add. Of course, when you look at Emmanuel Sanders, to me, is an upgrade from Ted Ginn, but how much of an upgrade we'll see. Ted Ginn was always injured. Ted Ginn's moved on now. He used to be, pretty good, but we'll see. Traquan Smith and those guys, they still have a really good team. And Coach, I believe they have one more Super Bowl run in them. The only problem is I think the team that's going to give them the most trouble is in their own division. So we'll see what happens with that. Look, I do want to move. I do want to move to the Atlanta Falcons here before we go to break, and we'll continue these questions. But the question I came up with, Coach, is simply, can the offense overcome personnel losses? Because, look, and I did a little research in here. Of course, Mohamed Sanu goes to the Patriots last year. Running back Devonta Freeman, which wasn't, people don't want to say it, but he was still a good enough back for him. Tight end Austin Hooper is gone. Todd Gurley comes in. Not sure, what he's going to be. Which Todd Gurley are we going to get? But, Coach, they still have Julio Jones. They still have Calvin Ridley. The offensive line is pretty strong. Matt Ryan back there. I love Matt Ryan as a quarterback, a guy that I don't believe gets a lot of credit. He deserves so much more. It just really does. We know the offense is going to be good. Coach, when you look at this team, should we worry about the offense, or should it be more lean towards, is that defense going to be able to compete?
Defense. That's where they have to improve. There's no doubt about it. Now, the only big loss that they had, Sanu really can't play anymore. He's over the hill. He should, and I predict he will be cut this year from the Patriots. Look at it last year when he went in up there, and how much contribution did he make last year? I don't think Atlanta would have let him out of Atlanta if they considered him to be a major contributor. So they didn't lose anything there. I don't think they lost anything with the back. The one loss that they may have that may hurt him is Hooper. I think the tight end is a good, dependable tight end. That could hurt them some. But other than that, they're still a good offensive football team, and you got the quarterback that you need. The big problem is far and away their defense, whether they can put together a defense that can contend in the National Football League for playoffs and going deep in the playoffs. I don't think they have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And when you look at it, Coach, the Falcons didn't really help themselves too much in the draft either. Drafting the first round, I know we talked about this, the corner, we like the corner, but did not a first-round guy, A.J. Terrell, right there out of Clemson, to fill that role at the corner spot. Surprised a lot of people, said this was a late second to third-round guy. And there were so many guys you could have picked at that 14th position. But then getting Marlon Davidson will help them on the defensive line. Look, the defense is okay. They have some players that have to step up. Getting Dante Fowler Jr. will help them get a little speed rush off the edge there. But they have a lot of guys they've drafted that haven't really panned out, including Tack McKinley. We saw, he's a guy that with a lot of high hopes. But we'll see. Deion Jones and those guys, if they can turn it around. But, Coach, the Falcons, I agree with you. I think, look, they're in a tough division. The offense should be fine. Defense. I think you could have just ended it right there, and that everybody would have understood what you meant, even Falcons fans moving forward. But listen, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some more of these questions about some NFL teams moving forward. We'll get some more college football news for you as well. All that and more right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Look, chicken restaurants are nothing new. But if you're saying, been there, done that, it tastes like chicken. Well, if your friends offer you a brand new convertible or a broken down station wagon with 3 wheels, do you say, hey, they're both cars? Well, the people have spoken. Mr. Pollo on 9th Avenue was voted top 100 places to eat in the country by Yelp at number 61. Making chicken great again, America. It's that good. Try it and you'll be hooked for life. The freshest ingredients and the perfect catering for any big party. Mr. Pollo. It means chicken.
Motorcycle owners, put this number in your phone now, 850-712-7710. Angelo's Towing. Hopefully nothing ever happens out there, but if it does, you'll need your bike towed. Angelo's Towing has the area's only state-of-the-art motorcycle towing cradle. They'll secure it upright, handling it with the care it deserves. You got a lot of money in that bike. Get out your phone, 850-712-7710. When you need a tow, call Angelo's.
Ever wonder how long it takes for litter to decompose? How about a paper towel or newspaper? 2 to 6 weeks. A cigarette butt? 1 to 5 years. That plastic bag? 10 to 20. A disposable diaper or plastic beverage bottle? A whopping 450 years. And for a glass bottle? 1,000,000 years. Let's stop litter madness. Join the team and let's drive it home. Keep our paradise litter-free.
Brought to you by Florida Department of Transportation and Keep Santa Rosa Beautiful.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. On this Friday afternoon, weekend's right around the corner. Appreciate you joining us on the show today. We're talking some football as always. And, Coach, getting back into a couple of these questions here. Look, the Miami Dolphins, and this is a team now, a lot of intrigue. They've had quite the offseason when you look at what they're doing with Brian Flores and those guys out there. And there's a lot of Dolphins fans around this area that are actually starting to wear their jerseys again and starting to wear their Dolphins hats and everything. They're coming out of the woodworks. It's like, well, where were you? Yeah, we were gone for a little while. But, Coach, my question with the Dolphins is, with the offseason that they had, will the offseason additions make them competitive again? And not necessarily, I think that they'll be better this year, but are we talking about in the coming years? And well, we know Tua at the quarterback position, what that's going to mean for them. Offensively, look, they did themselves some, well, they had a pretty good draft somewhat. Getting Raekwon Davis and those guys I thought was good. Noah Igbenogany, I can't believe I just said that correctly. I've been practicing. But the corner out of Auburn I think will help them. Coach, when you look at this, though, I mean, getting Kyle Van Noy from New England, getting Eric Rowe from New England, getting Byron Jones, the corner there out of Dallas, stealing him from there, Shaq Lawson from Buffalo. I mean, Vince Beagle there. They've gotten some pretty good talents, coming over there. I thought they had a pretty good offseason. But, Coach, when you look at this, is this going to make them competitive immediately, or are we looking at 2 to 3 years down the road, them competing for the division?
Well, we're looking at 2 to 3 years down the road, no question about it. I'm impressed with what they did with free agency. I think they brought in, certainly with the New England people, and the guys that they brought in from free agency will help them and help them immediately. No doubt about that. The draft I was not too excited about, except for Tua. That was an absolute gold mine there with the fifth pick. I think he's going to be fine from an injury standpoint. And he certainly will be fine from a talent standpoint. I think he's going to be an outstanding quarterback in the league. So they have their quarterback, I think. They have some additions to their football team that will give them a chance to grow before they finish out the young talent and the depth that they need with young talent. The real key here, JP, is going to be how they can control their offensive line so that they can give Tua a chance to perform and not get whacked around back there too much and lose his, we don't want him to lose his touch. And I tell you get whacked around by those, the National Football League back there, and you can get a little antsy and want to get rid of the ball too quick and make some poor decisions. And we don't want that to happen. So I think the real key is how they handle their protection for Tua.
Yeah, I agree. My scare is that Tua plays too soon. But you know what? We're getting positive signs of his health moving forward. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, Joe Burrow and Tua were two of the quarterbacks that just don't happen every year. I mean, we don't take that for granted because those guys are so special, and I want to see Tua dominate. I really do, because it's good for the league, of course, when these young quarterbacks come in here and have success as well. But Tua, just a fantastic young man, fantastic. So much fun to watch him at Alabama. And like I said, look, the other side of my family is Auburn fans, and they still say the same thing as well. So that tells you the respect that they have for him. But, Coach, moving on here, the Indianapolis Colts. Now, we've talked about this. Frank Reich is a tremendous friend of yours, I know. But when you look at the offseason they had, pretty good little offseason, did themselves some favors in the draft as well. Phillip Rivers coming over there, I'm a believer that Phillip Rivers is going to put this team over the hump and return them to the playoffs. But breaking that down, I want to make this very clear. Now, last year, T.Y. Hilton, Jack Doyle, they're still there, fantastic receivers. T.Y. was injured. When T.Y.'s on the field, he's dominant. We know that. But he needs some help. Well, they got Michael Pittman Jr. Now they got Paris Campbell back. He is back from injury, and this is a young man that we both talked about, Coach. A guy you need to put on your radar, and don't blink because you'll miss him. He has that type of elite speed. Adding Jonathan Taylor to that backfield, Coach, Phillip Rivers. When I talk about quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers, I think they're going to play younger than what they are, and the reason I say that is they got chip on their shoulder. For Phillip Rivers, it's a fresh start for him. For Tom Brady, he wants to go out there and prove that he can win without the Patriots. There's nothing wrong with that. But for Phillip Rivers, coach, the addition here, does this really take, not necessarily make the Colts a playoff team because they were close enough. I thought they were a quarterback away last year. But does this make them possibly give them the opportunity to make a deep playoff run?
Oh, I think absolutely it does. You know, the Colts got to be one of my, if you want to call them I don't think they're a dark horse, but people would consider them being a dark horse, and I would certainly take them. Yes. Look at the team construction right now of the Indianapolis Colts. You've got, well, I think the best offensive line in football, and they're young, and they're going to be there for a while. They have really, really upgraded their receiver position. And like you say, with Paris Campbell coming on this year, the draft, and then having T.Y. Hilton, they've got some firepower there and big play potential. Along with the tight end situation is in good hands. And I think the quarterback, look, Phillip Rivers, with the experience he has, knowing the opportunity, and believe me, he looks around the league. He understands the opportunity that he has and this football team has. So, and then to boot, he's going to be with two coaches that he was with in San Diego who know him, and he knows them, and he's totally familiar with the system. It's a big, big plus. It's almost like a continuity factor that most wouldn't have with that type change. So that's big. They're going to play well defensively, and they're going to play well defensively because they're going to be helped by that offense. And that offense is going to put points on the board and control the time of possession, I think, to a large extent. So, yes, I'm very high on the Colts, and that's not just from the standpoint of my relationship with Frank White. It's because I firmly believe that they've got a real shot. They've got a real shot of being in the big game.
Yeah, Coach, and you know about my infatuation with the Tennessee Titans. It pains me to say that this is a team that is on the right track. Now, of course, the Tennessee Titans, the year they had last year was fantastic, but this Colts team really made themselves a contender right here. And when you look at this, once again, people saying that Phillip Rivers, well, he's washed up. Look, he is basically back with his old coaching staff. He's got more weapons, got one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in the NFL. Just everything. He has everything at his disposal, including a fantastic defense. He is playing in a dome, which I think people need to understand. I'm not saying the weather where he was bad, but he's playing in a dome in a controlled environment for over half his games. So take these things into consideration when you're talking about this quarterback and the Indianapolis Colts moving forward. That's why this is a team that's going to be scary. The NFL is it's been quite the offseason. Some teams that are popping up out of nowhere. But I go back to the Colts last year, being a quarterback away. Not saying from a Super Bowl. I'm not going to say that yet. We'll see, because it's still a young team. But they're doing all the right things right now, and it's going to be really fun to see what happens here. And that's me saying this from a Titans fan perspective. But look, we got to go to a quick break, Coach. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple people that, from players to coaches, that are going to be pretty important in this 2020 college football season. And yes, we're going to stay on the positive side of things and saying we're having a college football season. So if you don't like it, you don't have to tune in. That's fine. But anyway, going to talk about some big names from Miles Brennan to Todd Monken. A couple more guys out there. We're not going to give you the obvious ones when we're talking about Trevor Lawrence and stuff. Some under-the-radar guys. We'll talk about all that and more right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, Dilly Dilly! Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
For ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP. During the 2002 Soccer World Cup, An Jung-hwan from South Korea scored a goal against Italy in injury time, knocking the Italians out of the World Cup. The next day, his contract with his Italian home club was terminated because the owner said he could not pay the person who had ruined Italian football. I mean, he does have a point. Australian rower Bobby Pierce won the 1928 Olympic Games against 8 other competitors, even though he stopped during the race to let ducks pass in front of him. See, nice guys do finish first. That's your Ridiculous Facts. I'm JP.
The latest news and sports can be heard on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Get the latest news and football on Talk Football with Coach K. Daily sports talk on your drive home on The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. And a recap and look ahead of the sports week on Sports Call with Davis and Justin every Saturday. Plus, national sports radio talk on Golick and Wingo, The Dan Lebertard Show with Stu Gotts, and The Paul Feinbaum Show. It all lives on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Coming up on Sports Call this Saturday, golf's favorite caddy and sports analyst Michael Collins will be joining us. Also, Jason Fitz at 12:30. That's this Saturday from 11 to 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Weekend's right around the corner. Going to be a beautiful weekend ahead as well. Talking some football and getting into some college football, Coach. A couple guys here, some polarizing, characters, and we're not going to talk about, obviously Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. We know those guys. But these are guys that are now coming into the radar, and LSU fans, Joe Burrow's gone, and for people that want to try to compare this guy to Joe Burrow, don't do it, because it's first off, what Joe Burrow did was something that we may never see in college football again. I said we may never. I didn't say never, but it's highly unlikely just with the season that they had, that dream season for LSU going on to win a national title. But, Coach, Miles Brennan is now QB1 in LSU right there in Death Valley. People, of course, in Baton Rouge have known this guy because he's been on their roster. Very talented kid, of course, coming out of high school, was a 4-star recruit for him. A lot of people believe that, he hasn't even begun to hit his ceiling yet, so that's great. When you look at this guy, Coach, I think for LSU, it goes without saying they may have lost, 16 guys. They lost 14 total to the NFL draft, 16 guys gone now. Of course, a couple guys signed free agent contracts. When you look at this roster, it's not hard to find 10 more NFL draft picks on this roster. They are still loaded. But it's a little bit different because there is a lot of not a whole lot of continuity coming back here. A lot of guys stepping up in new positions. But, Coach, when you look at Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, they're coming back at receiver. They've got a loaded backfield, even though they lost a couple of their guys. Up front, they're talented. They're fully stocked on defense. It's going to be tough, though, because, like I said, for them, a lot of new guys stepping up in new positions. But one person is Miles Brennan, Coach, at quarterback. He is obviously the X factor in all this for the chance. I don't put him in the national title hopes yet, but to compete in that SEC. We know they're going to be good, Coach. But Miles Brennan, do you believe that he is going to have a good year for LSU?
Oh, I do believe he'll have a good year. Now, we all know that a good year is relative. If you're talking about duplicating, I think you made it very clear, duplicating what Burrow did, that's not going to happen. But I think he'll have a good year. And they do. LSU has talent. They lost 16 people, so that's gonna hurt some, especially early in the season, JP. You can't lose 16 people off a football team and not feel the effects to some extent. I don't think it'll be major. I think they'll still have a good season, and I think Brennan will be fine. Look, you gotta remember now that he was the backup quarterback, so he took a number of snaps, a number of snaps during the practices, and he certainly had to be on top of his game to be ready to play in case something happened. So I think he's certainly ready. We'll see in game situation. I know the little bit that he did play, and he did fine. So I have no doubt I have no question about Brennan. I think they'll be in good shape for him.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's going to be set up fairly well. Edo has done a good job with that organization, especially after losing coaches and losing players. It's going to be tough to compete, obviously, with Alabama and those guys doing what they do every single year. But I agree. I think it's very important to not compare Miles Brennan to Joe Burrow. Just want to make that very clear to everybody. But, Coach, the next guy I want to talk about here, Todd Monken. Look, this is a lot rides on his shoulders. The new offensive coordinator at Georgia. Georgia, we know that they've always been a run-first football team. What are they going to look like now? A lot of people, Coach, I want to get your take on this. Comparing him to Joe Brady and what he did for LSU, not sure. I will deflect that to you. But, Coach, when you look at Todd Monken, very important. Now, it's very important to understand that he did not have the offseason that he thought he was going to have. Jamie Newman coming in there. Will JT Daniels be eligible? They don't even right now, I think, know who their quarterback truly is, even though everybody has already anointed Jamie Newman. And this is a quarterback that came from Wake Forest that's never played in the SEC. That's never had I think the big part, in my opinion, is the pressure that he's going to have each and every week on his shoulders. Coach, when you look at Todd Monken, I mean, is he going to be able, do you believe, to get it done in Georgia and kind of revamp that offense? And do you believe that he could be, well, the Georgia's Joe Brady version at LSU?
No to that second part. There's no question. What Joe Brady did, again, is a big part of that unbelievable season. That won't be duplicated, especially not at Georgia. With the guy there, so I'm not the least bit concerned with that piece of it. Now I can't answer the question as to what I'm not that familiar with him, and I think the biggest question, one of the biggest question marks in college football right now, is who is Jamie Newman? What has he done? What leads you to believe that he's going to be all-conference quarterback at Georgia? Is JT Daniels going to end up being the quarterback there, which could happen? I don't think they know. I think it's a very unsettled position, and that has to be settled. And, no, I don't think he's going to duplicate what Brady did at all.
Yeah, I would agree. I think with having no offseason, it's going to be tough sledding already. And look, Jake Fromm's gone. We've talked about that. Jamie Newman, JT Daniels, regardless of who you want to say is going to be their quarterback, trying to implement a brand new offense is not going to be easy, especially in the SEC. So there's going to be some growing pains there. But, Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go as usual. We didn't get to everything, but you know what? We'll give it a shot Monday. But as always, Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure.
You bet. Look forward to Monday, to the weekend on Monday.
Absolutely, Coach. Have a great weekend. And to our listeners, have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday talking some football with you, same time right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
UI, Milton, Pensacola.
It's First Take, Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and ESPN News. We're presented by Progressive Insurance, and all callers joining us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line today. We're asking you two different questions. Is Roger Goodell handling the NFL's return correctly? And does the NFL owe Colin Kaepernick an apology? Get on the phone lines and let us know what you think about either question. 888-729-3776, 888-SAY-ESPN. For SportsCenter headlines, 16 of 302 NBA players have tested positive for COVID-19 in the league's first mandatory testing. Those players will remain in isolation until they satisfy public health protocols. Names of the players have not been released, but some players, such as Malcolm Brogdon and Jabari Parker, have acknowledged their positive tests. Meantime, an update from the Travelers Championship PGA Tour event going on in Cromwell, Connecticut, just down the road from our ESPN studios. Will Gordon has now opened up a two-shot lead on Mackenzie Hughes, the 29-year-old Canadian who flirted with a 59 yesterday. Hughes will tee off later this. He's actually on the course, just finished his first hole. So Mackenzie Hughes is on the course right now. Tune into the ESPN Daily Podcast, bringing you a deep dive into a single story from one of ESPN's hundreds of reporters, presented by Marathon. Download, subscribe, and review ESPN Daily, available wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Well, LeBron James earlier this week injecting himself into the conversation and the arena of the NFL when he spoke out saying that the NFL owes Colin Kaepernick an apology. Stephen A. Smith started the debate earlier this morning on First Take.
I think LeBron is wrong about this. And I haven't disagreed with LeBron James about much in recent memory. But I disagree with him about this and anybody who feels that Roger Goodell owes Colin Kaepernick an apology. It's not Roger Goodell who owes a Colin Kaepernick apology. It's the NFL owners who owe Colin Kaepernick an apology. Roger Goodell, as the commissioner of the National Football League, was working in concert with Jay-Z and Rock Nation. He tried to get Colin Kaepernick a tryout. He tried to convince the owners this man was not trying to denigrate our flag. He was not talking about patriotism. He was not doing that. He talked about racial oppression and police brutality and equality and civil liberties. Those are the kind of things that Colin Kaepernick was attempting to bring attention to, and the owners, his bosses who pay him, would not listen. The issue is with the owners. Roger Goodell is an easy target in my estimation, and I think that you got 32 owners in the National Football League that have systematically gone about the business of ignoring him while using him as cover to buffer for their negligence. And I think that's the important point that needs to be made here. Every time we look at Roger Goodell and we want to parse and dissect and pick apart everything that he does and doesn't do. The man is not perfect. I get it. Criticism aimed in his direction definitely is warranted on several occasions. There is no doubt about that. But it's not like he tried, and it's not like he co-signed what the owners were saying. But if we had, I forgot what it was, Max. What was it weeks ago when they talked, when it was a former guy, it was a former executive within the National Football League that worked with the Minnesota Vikings, if I remember correctly, and I forgot where he was now. Lockhart, I believe his name was, where he highlighted how owners were saying they actually had information that said if you bring Colin Kaepernick on board, it would cost you 20% of gate revenue at the very least, if not 20% overall. I forget whether it was gate revenue or 20% overall. The point that I'm making is this is what their attitude was. Now, Roger, you want to say Roger Goodell could have been more forceful? You want to say that Roger Goodell could have debunked the wishes of his owners, ignored them, defied them, engaged in insubordination? Okay, that's a different argument. But in the end, what it comes down to is that it's their actions that led to Colin Kaepernick being blackballed from the National Football League, not Roger Goodell. And in the end, when we call about Roger Goodell for an apology, I think it's incredibly important that we remember that.
Sure. I think the owners also owe Colin Kaepernick an apology, but certainly Goodell does. And mainly for Well, I would be giving his intelligence the benefit of the doubt to say he was lying. And I don't think he's stupid. So let me tell you what I mean. In 2016, he said, with respect to Kaepernick's protest, we believe in patriotism in the NFL. We're strong on patriotism. Does he not understand the difference between patriotism and nationalism? I wish I could attribute this quote to the proper person, but the best distillation I've heard is, or I've come across, is the patriot is proud of its country for what it does. That's patriotism. Nationalism is you're proud of your country no matter what it does. So did Goodell mean that in the NFL they believe in nationalism? Because I'll answer it for him. Yes, you did, Roger Goodell. In 2016, the NFL did not believe in patriotism by any reasonable definition. You believed in nationalism and imposed it on Kaepernick. Now, that may have been the owners, and you were the mouthpiece for the owners. Nevertheless, you reflected their sensibilities and unfairly denied Kaepernick the right to make a living in his chosen profession, even though they operate a monopoly and have a responsibility to give the opportunity for jobs based on ability. It's supposed to be a meritocracy. But you were their mouthpiece, and you willingly stated a falsehood, unless you really don't know the difference between patriotism and nationalism. Is that the case, Roger Goodell? Then last year, Stephen A., Goodell came out and said, I think that Kaepernick, how do you put it? He said that if a team believed that someone helps them win, then that person has the job, implying that Kaepernick couldn't help a team win. Now, Roger Goodell is the commissioner of the NFL. He watches a lot of football. Did he really believe last year, sight unseen, right? So you have to figure, even if Kaepernick, who claims he's staying ready and he's shown video and stuff, has declined a little bit year over year, he's still not one of the 64 best quarterbacks in the world. He was like low-end starting caliber quarterback when last seen. There's 64 guys better than him? No, I don't think so.
That's not the point.
And so for him to say he'd have a job if a team thought they could help him win is simply untrue. But the point is, does he owe Kaepernick an apology for stating the point of view of the owners, which is a mistake in definition originally, as an excuse to not give him a job or as cover, and then later, does he owe him an apology for saying he ain't good enough to help a team win?
Okay, we respectfully disagree, number one. Number two, we need to make a correction or modification. I disagree with LeBron if he says Goodell owes Colin Kaepernick an apology. I do not disagree with LeBron if he's saying the NFL owes Colin Kaepernick an apology as opposed to Goodell specifically, number two. And number three, let's remember that an apology is essentially an admission of guilt. And although Colin Kaepernick settled, you don't know what legal remedies he may have available to him in the event that Goodell and the NFL do issue such an apology desired verbally by LeBron James, which means that would be incentive to apologize without specifically mentioning Kaepernick's name, because you're worried about legal ramifications, because Kaepernick has shown you he would be willing to go that route.
So here's my take. Roger Goodell has already issued a statement saying the NFL was wrong for not listening to players earlier. They were wrong for not encouraging everyone to speak out and peacefully protest. If you're going to take that position, then you should apologize. Fully own what you're saying. Say, I missed the message Colin Kaepernick was the spokesperson for. I failed to fully recognize the point Colin Kaepernick was trying to make, and that's on me. The league has to do better moving forward. The league could have done a ton more to support the Black Lives Matter movement. We'll do everything we can moving forward to condemn racism of any kind. But Roger Goodell is not the only one at fault here. Don't lay all that blame at his feet. In the highest profile league in all of major U.S. sports, which in turn, for me, makes it the most competitive, to suggest 32 owners and head coaches and GMs would all follow some unwritten mandate by the commissioner who has no authority to tell them to do so and not give their team the best chance to win. I'm not buying that. I'm not pinning all that blame on the commissioner. if you're of the opinion that Colin Kaepernick deserves an apology, then it better come from a hell of a lot more people than just the commissioner. Because there were a lot of teams, every single one of them had the opportunity to sign this guy for 4 years. Owners could have said, you know what, put this guy on our team, let him compete. Coaches could have spoken up, said, hey, I want that guy on my team. And my GM or my owner or the commissioner's not letting me do it. I haven't heard a single one say that. No general manager has said, we've wanted Colin Kaepernick, but I'm not being allowed to sign him. So some heat needs to be brought on those people, too. And if we're going to start demanding apologies, which maybe we should, then it better come from a lot more people than Roger Goodell. Vernon from the Bronx joining us on the ESPN hotline, 888-SAY-ESPN. Vernon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with the person who spoke earlier. He's saying that Roger Goodell definitely needs to apologize, but he's not the only one, because it runs across the board with the owners. And when we start looking at the society, the pressure comes from the society also stating that we don't really care what this guy is saying. So, you know what? Let's move on. And I'm thinking Muhammad Ali would say, no, I am not going to fight somebody's war. If when I come back, I cannot get the normal basic thing that a human being should get.